In May, the United States Supreme Court ruled unanimously in favor of Minnesota woman Geraldine Tyler in the case of Tyler versus Hennepin County. Hennepin County sold her condo to recoup property tax debt, but also kept all the proceeds from the sale rather than return the remaining equity to the homeowner. Senator Warren Limmer is sponsor of a bill that would repeal the law that has allowed this to happen, and he joins me now in the studio. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
You introduced this bill in late April, several weeks before the Supreme Court ruled in the case. Was it this case that drew your attention, or did you become aware of this problem some other way?
I knew of the general idea, policy-wise, that the state had, but really the case that I read in a local newspaper is really what gave the focus to me of how that government policy can really affect individual citizens in a very tragic way. Ms. Tyler's case from Hennepin County was what was reported in a Star Tribune article earlier in the year. I did a little more research on it, started to write a bill regarding it. It seemed like it just is not a good policy to have, where, of course, state needs to have their tax money, but at the same time, there's extenuating circumstances, but the government should not take all of the equity of a homeowner.
To your knowledge, how widespread is the practice of this state keeping additional proceeds from a property sale when the owner is behind on tax payments?
Well, right now it's the law of the land since the Depression era. And quite honestly, it's a little troubling that it's gone this far. U.S. Supreme Court earlier this year, they decided 9-0. Now, can you imagine how polarized that Supreme Court is with other issues, but they all agreed on this constitutional principle. This is a government taking. When you take more than what the government is owed in taxes and you keep it for themselves or for the government purpose without any remuneration to the homeowner. Clearly, I saw that as a taking. Supreme Court agreed, and I'm hoping that we can change this law on Minnesota statutes.
Now, this law stems, you said, from the Depression era. Almost 90 years ago, it was passed in 1935. Has society changed in terms of how it views taxes and debts and property rights since that time?
Well, during the Depression, government needed money to keep employees employed. They needed to, who knows what kind of influence banks had on forfeiture laws. They certainly did on farming back then. But quite honestly, when you give government that opportunity to take more money or accumulate more money, they're going to do it. That hasn't changed in the way government reacts to getting funds for their government purposes. Sad to say. This kind of draws a bright line that says, government, you can only take what's rendered you, you know, that old phrase, render unto Caesar that which is his. This is exactly the same thing. You don't take more. You only receive and get the forfeited taxes that are owed.
According to Minnesota Public Radio, Minnesota is one of about a dozen states that has kept the proceeds following a property sale like this. In your view, then, are all of these cases examples of home equity theft?
Home equity theft is, as a term, a pretty harsh term when we're indicting government. But quite honestly, I think it's accurate. We as a government are taking things, money, value, equity in a home that is not owed to us. That's got to change. Now, as a quick background, counties give all sorts of methods to collect taxes if that person is in trouble in paying. They create payment plans. They give extended periods of time to make that payment. But despite that, there are still some people who just can't make that payment. And they should, if it eventually comes down to the point where you have to have a tax auction in order to get that money, any excess money should be returned to the homeowner, to that taxpayer. It'll help them in the next step in their life. We don't want to wring them dry and then have that opportunity to keep that money for a government purpose. That would be simply wrong and dishonest.
Have you considered what, if any, unintended consequences could arise from repealing this law? For example, if a property owner has abandoned their property and it's a public nuisance or an eyesore and tax dollars have to be used in order to remedy a situation, should anything like that be taken into account?
Well, an eyesore or a condemned property, that's not subject to a tax forfeiture. That's subject to the fact that it's an eyesore or it's something else. The government, and there's been plenty of case law, the government will pay for that property to be claimed by government. They'll give full remuneration. It's not a tax forfeiture where the government up till now keeps the balance at an auction. And so I think we've covered that area in law pretty well.
So attorneys for Hennepin County pointed to that 1935 state law that I mentioned previously. So now the Supreme Court has ruled. Clearly a revision to that law is now necessary. Is that what your bill then seeks to do, is just eliminate the statute that has allowed this to happen?
It's to repeal the statute, written in 1935. Now, can you imagine, written during the Depression? And quite honestly, I can only speculate. Government employees needed a salary source too in the Depression. I don't know if that was the impetus of a 1935 law. We don't really care about how or why. The problem is existing now. We should not take and we should prohibit government from keeping the balance, the equity balance, and return that to the homeowner after those property taxes have been paid in full as a result of a tax auction.
Although no action was taken on the bill last session, it was referred to the tax committee. And have you spoken with Tax Chair Ann Rust about this bill? Do you expect that this law change maybe will happen in the coming session?
I have not talked with Senator Rust. I was waiting for the court case to finally conclude. That happened almost simultaneously in the last week or thereabouts with the session ending. And we in the Senate, we don't usually like to write law knowing that there's a court case pending. So we'll go on to next February.
Senator Warren Limmer, thank you so much.